Hi, welcome. This is the caddyinfo.com forum chat. We keep changing the names of these slightly, trying to figure out what makes the most sense to people as I post them. We do these on Google Hangouts, and so if you're watching this on YouTube, then if you wanted to join us live, then what you need to do is go to Google Plus and friend me and circle me or friend me or poke me or make known to me what your information on Google Plus is. Jim, I'm going to let you take over for just a moment. I have a call on the other line. Let me make sure it's not important. And why don't you guys start without me, and then I'll be right back.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is Texas Jim, and I have with me Kevin.
No, the firm is KHE.
What?
I'm KHE on the forum, but yeah, go ahead and call me Kevin. That's my first name.
Good, good, and welcome, Kevin. And so I apologize that I got one of those calls where it was just that they didn't remember that we do our broadcast tonight. So let me introduce Texas Jim from the Caddy Info Forums.
Good evening.
Excellent. And KHE is with us tonight again for his second appearance from the Caddy Info Forums.
Also known as Kevin and Tammy.
Yeah, we'll be calling him Kevin, but he's actually KHE on the forums.
Yeah, I'm using my wife's sign-in, so that's why it might say Tammy.
It keeps switching to Tammy because she's the high-tech member of his local organization there. So I had an interesting topic tonight, which is, well, interesting to me. One of my automotive friends here locally had gone off he wanted to buy a CTSV wagon. He's got some dogs, and he's in a Mercedes sedan right now. He wanted to get a wagon so he could put his dogs in the wagon, and so it sounded like just the sort of thing that Texas Jim wants.
Yeah. So
he ran his cars.com search. There was a wagon in Miami that showed up that was, $10,000 cheaper than any of the other wagons. It's a 2013. It's black. Only had 2,000 miles. And it was right at $40,000, which invites the obvious question, okay, why would that be true, right? So he rang down, talked to the people, and what the story they gave with it is that this was a car that was at the GM test center there in Florida, and so they used it out on the track, and so it was actually on a surplus title, but marked as surplus title - racing car. Again, 2013 CTSV station wagon. It was on a surplus title / racing car. And so this surprised.
Don't beat out of it then.
Well, for 2,000 miles, but I mean, there's a limited amount of things you can do with it in 2,000 miles, right? I mean, I've seen demo cars that had more than 2,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
But their story was that when GM gets rid of these cars, because they've been run at the track at different speeds, they mark them as surplus with no warranty. So it's a 2013 model, no miles on it, but surplus title and no warranty. But again, $10,000, $15,000 cheaper than the, or $20,000 cheaper than the market for a 2013. And so when he was talking to me about it, first of all, I said that this whole thing doesn't sound right to me, because if it's surplus title, then that actually means it's been wrecked. And so, yeah, they had it at the racetrack, but they wrecked it, and they've rebuilt it. But
wait a minute. Surplus title. I've never heard of that. I've heard of salvage title, which means it's wrecked.
That's exactly what I should be saying, is salvage title.
Oh. I don't know. I guess unless you're going to keep that car forever until the wheels fall off of it, I wouldn't even consider a car with a salvage title, because you'll never. It's almost like that car is branded forever.
Yes. Now, this is what I said is the literature, the documentation that they have from GM would have to be that good a story that if you have to turn around and sell this car in 2 years or 3 years, that you can convince Texas Jim that that was only a salvage car because they raced it. or whoever the next buyer is, and you're going to take a bath on it. But given that he was getting, a 10, 15, $20,000 discount on it, given that it was a 2013 model, the other thing that started to occur to me is, gosh, you could get a lot of mods done for $10, $15,000, right? So now we're talking about you could go ahead and get a header system put on, an exhaust system put on, an upper or lower pulley, and now you got, a 650 or 700 horsepower wagon for the same cost as a wagon with warranty.
If it was 10,000 less, I might shy away from it. If it was 15 or 20,000 less, then I would risk it, because if it needed repairs, I could pay for that out of my pocket.
Yeah, now the other caveat I should give is that this guy has some pocket money, and so he's not in a bind that way where he's not spending all his money on this car, if you see what I mean.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah.
So he's got some margin for error here, but I was very concerned that the story that they were telling him wasn't right. Now, the more I researched it, the more it seemed to validate that is what GM does, which is to say if they've had a car as a demo on the racetrack, they do mark them with a salvage title, which surprised me. I would have said that wasn't true, but... Pardon?
Why would they do that just because it was? Why would they mark it as a salvage title? I mean, the salvage title implies it's been wrecked.
Yes.
And repaired because it was totaled out beyond repair, that somebody bought it and repaired it back. So why would they brand that title with a salvage title just because it was raced?
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. But their argument was they do that because once you've had the car up at 135 or 140 or whatever, then you don't know, what you don't know what could have gone wrong with it, I suppose.
Might have been faster than that.
Yeah, so this is a car that had never been titled, a 2013 wagon, 2,000 miles on it, and $40,000. Now the only 2013 wagon I can see right now is for sale by an individual for $60,000, $59,900 with 11,000 miles. So basically, you got a $20,000 discount because it's a salvage title.
And it's only got 2,000 miles on it.
And it's only got 2,000 miles on it.
Now, if they could furnish some documentation from GM to back that up,
right,
I would go ahead and buy it.
Well, the thing I liked is one of the searches I did on it showed that it was marked salvage/racing vehicle, which I'd pay to have that on my car. That mine isn't a salvage title, but I would pay to have the mark racing vehicle on my title.
Yeah, but you don't know what kind of tune they might have put on it.
Yeah, you don't know if they ran a special tune other than to remove the speed limiter. And so I agree with Kevin, though, that GM shouldn't do this. Stop marking them salvage title. But given that they do, then it does make an intriguing trade.
Yeah, if you could take that car and have it inspected, thoroughly inspected at a Cadillac dealer, and they could draw the line and say there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong with this, it has the factory tune, it hasn't been altered, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I'd jump at that for 20 grand less, because I buy cars, I drive until the wheels fall off them.
Exactly, and this fella tends to keep cars for a while. Now, that said, the story got a little squirrelier, as you might expect. First of all, the car wasn't at a Cadillac dealer; it was at one of the general kind of dealers. And when he called them and said, "Okay, can you bring it over to the local Cadillac dealer to have a pre-purchase inspection?" then they said, "We cannot drive it off the lot because it's on a salvage title. We can't put dealer plates on it."
Bull.
Yeah,
this just gets better and better by the minute.
Yeah, so that didn't sound right. But I said,
wrong.
I would, because the whole point's going to be that you have to be able to put tags on it. So if they can't inspect it, then I'd walk away. And if that's the argument, that they can't inspect it, therefore they can't put dealer tags, therefore they can't drive it a mile away to the Cadillac dealer, then I would walk away. But what we did is I said, well, when I was buying when I was shopping for a car before, I found a place called Lemon Busters in Houston to go look at a car for me. So I went and Googled Lemon Busters and looked for Florida, and they had a place, not Lemon Busters, but they were called Lemon Squad. So he contacted Lemon Squad and they service Miami, which is where the car was. And they were willing to go over to the dealer and send him a detailed report on the car with pictures, with 40 or 50 pictures of the underside of the car and all around the car. And he had specifically spoken with them and said, this is what I'm concerned about, that the car's actually been wrecked, and they're saying it hasn't been wrecked, and that's what I want you to look for. And so they sent him a convincing enough report that he went ahead and bought the car, and he's having it shipped.
But it's impossible to tell from, pictures hide a lot of stuff. You can't tell from a picture if a car's been wrecked or not, unless the repair is so obviously bad that it shows up in a picture. I mean, literally. I mean, I can. You can take a picture of a car with where the clear coat's gone off it, and the base coat is rotting, flaking away, and you take it at the right angle with the camera, and it's going to look shiny and glossy and good.
Yeah, but the argument is that the inspector was working for him who took the pictures, and is just taking the pictures to document that in person it looked good, and trying to reflect that in the pictures. And so,
yeah, that makes sense.
And that type of facility will know what to look for on the various joints and where the subframe connects, and all of this. Look for replaced parts. Look for skin up bolts.
Yeah, that's what they claim their expertise is in, right? Is that they're able to look specifically for this type of problem. I mean, that's their whole business model, is just like the car in Houston that I was calling to see about. In that case, the Lemon Busters people said, we won't actually go to the lot that has the car you want us to look at it. If you have them delivered here, we'll look at the car, but we won't do business with that lot anymore. We won't go on their premises, which actually told me enough about that deal that I wouldn't that I was done with the deal at that point.
Yeah, that speaks volumes right there. As long as that place is working for the buyer, then yeah, there's some credibility there.
Yeah, that was the argument. Now we'll see after the car gets here, and hopefully it is as promised. And now I still have, especially for a daily driver, I still prefer my daily driver to be under warranty and to be under maintenance. I like the idea of just dropping the car off whenever it has anything wrong with it and having them fix it. But to get all the way to a 2013 car, and as I say, a $20,000 advantage over other models. So the real choice there would be, would you rather have a 2013 car on a Savage title if the car were okay, or would you rather have a 2009? 4 years newer car.
I would have called
and the 9s wouldn't be under warranty anymore anyway.
I would have called GMPP also.
Yeah, call them to see if you could warranty it through them.
Through them, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
and I assume they would not, because they will not warranty a car that's not currently under warranty generally.
But by this being a 2013 and only 2,000 miles on it, they might have made an exception. It would have been worth a phone call.
Maybe. And yeah, you might could have offered them more money and got a warranty assigned to it that way. But let's say for argument's sake that you couldn't. Would you rather have a 2013 car with no warranty or a 2009 car with no warranty?
Well, the 2013, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Because the 2009 would have also had a lot more miles on it typically. And to get a 2013 with only 2,000 miles on it and 20,000 cheaper than the normal selling price, I think I would have went ahead and bought it, assuming the Lemon Busters report came back good.
Yes.
And if I was concerned about the title, I would then turn around and sell it to my cousin in South Carolina and he would sell it back to my brother in Arkansas,
Oh, in
and,
Washington.
and then he would sell it to my brother in Houston, and then would sell it back to my other cousin in Louisiana, and then he'd sell it back to me. And somewhere in all of that, somebody would forget to put salvage title on it. And time I got the title back, it was clear.
Now, this is one of those rare cases where I actually disagree with the original assignment of salvage for this title.
Oh, I do too.
I don't think I'd have a problem with somebody washing this title because I don't think it should have been marked salvage to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. But Jim, it sounds like you got some connections there.
Oh, and I've got a couple of brother-in-laws. I've got a couple of brother-in-laws scattered around too. You know that we could use.
Guys putting other guys into pencil sharpeners for a living.
Now, we got more rumors about the ATSV power plant, and there was a note that the ATSV might get, when it goes to a high pressure, instead of the 12 pounds they're putting in through the 12 pounds per square inch they're putting through the V-Sport twin turbo V6, that if it goes to a high pressure configuration, that they might go down to a 3.2 liter instead of a 3.6 liter. And that's similar to what they've done with the Ecotex, where the 2.4 liter is normally aspirated, and the 2 liter is the turbo version, that they go to a bit thicker cylinder walls when they go to in order to run high pressure.
Right.
And so if they were able to go to a 3.2 liter and pump 21 psi through that engine,
500
then
horse.
we could see quite a bit more power from it.
That'd be close to 500 horse.
I'd have to do the math on that. I bet it's better than that. That it's doing 420 with 12 pounds of pressure. Another 8 pounds should give you another 32%. And so I bet it'd be 525 or 535, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Now, you lose some efficiency. So, yeah, 500 for sure, but I bet it would be over 500.
And they're also talking about the CTSV might get the 6.2 liter engine out of the Corvette.
Well, I think that's a given, that the CTSV is going to get the 6.2 liter supercharged. The only thing we're waiting to hear on it is, and we're expecting that one to do 625 horsepower. The only thing we're waiting to hear there is, does it get that engine, or does it get the 5.5 liter twin turbo that we saw in the El Mirage show car, which is that missing Ultra engine? So it would be, a V8 version of the 3.6. And so if it's going to get that in order to be, high tech, then, but it'll have lower horsepower than the supercharged LT1, the LT3 engine will.
Yeah, that LT3 engine, it's already been beefed up internally within the Corvette, and it can easily make 700 horse just like it sets.
Now,
With a few minor changes, but I mean the engine itself is capable of holding that.
Yeah, the CTSV guys are getting tons of more horsepower out of the LSA, so there's no reason to believe that the LT3 won't do the same thing and go to 750 or 800 horsepower with relatively simple and safe mods. Now, I keep hearing that about 700 horsepower is the most you want in a street car.
You keep hearing what?
700 horsepower is the most you would care for in a street car.
I'm getting some kind of feedback.
Yeah, I think it's our friend Kevin doesn't have headsets yet, and so what we're hearing is our voices feeding back through his microphone.
Oh, okay.
If I put headphones on, would that help?
Yes. You can still use the mic that you're using on your camera, but if you use headphones so that your audio plays into your ears, then it won't feed back through your mic.
Okay, let me go get some headphones. I'll be right back.
No rush. So So we're expecting the LT3, although we may see a surprise appearance by this 5.5-liter twin turbo. Now, did you see this Livernoise Motorsports tuning of the twin turbo 3.6-liter that I posted?
Yeah, I believe I did.
They put the tuner on it and got it 85 horsepower added just by tuning it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did see that.
Putting that one over 500 horsepower in the current CTS V Sport for $650.
Right.
So that seems like a no-brainer, right?
Right.
I mean, and really, what I posted was.
I think they said it was 650 for the tune.
Yes, which is, but it comes with a gadget to apply the tune is why it's 650. Right. But the what's really happening there though is the V Sport dynoed higher than Cadillac's claim for it, because it's not getting 10% transmission losses. It's probably getting 18 to 20% transmission losses, which means that it was really making more than 420 horsepower. Those engines are very strong, and the performance numbers we're seeing from them are very good. And so I'm excited about. And of course, the beautiful thing about the turbo cars is they're a little easier to modify than the superchargers are. You know, you can just put in a bigger turbo or retune them. Cadillac's holding them back at low RPM, maybe to keep them from running out from under people. But it's the same thing with the 2-liter turbos, that you can easily retune them for a lot more torque at lower RPM.
I'll see, when your wife's not looking, you can do hers that way.
I asked her that question, and I'll probably wait until she's done with it, and then we'll retune it. But, you know, she wants miles per gallon, and it's plenty fast for her as it is, so she doesn't want to retune it. What I keep trying to decide is, when I go to trade my car in, if I need another big sedan, or if I just treat her ATS as our road trip car, and then go get, you know, an XLR or a you know, something that I wouldn't need for cross country.
Oh yeah, you could do that.
So we'll see.
And then you'd have to use the XLR as a daily driver.
Yeah, which I think would suit me. But you know, it's older, and so that. But it's kind of like my friend's doing, is he's not too worried about if his new station wagon needs maintenance, because he's got 2 other cars at home, and so you know, drop one off and drive the other one and be happy.
I don't know. I just got my my Fleetwood Brougham out of winter storage just this past weekend. That's the ultimate road car, and that's my daily driver in the summertime.
Now, is your LT1 in that one stock?
No, it's a L05. I should have waited one more. I should have waited one more year to buy. If I would have waited till '94, I would have had the LT1.
But the same thing. Yours is a 305 or a 350?
350, but it's throttle body injection, and then '94 they went to multi-port injection.
So you ever tempted to soup it up though? Slide an LS3 in there?
Yes, and no, but not really. I mean, it's fat. It's no slouch, but it's a good road cruiser.
Oh, I think absolutely that those always look good to me on the road, and they're huge, and you know, the interior width of them, and they have good presence on the road. They did a nice job of the styling of those.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry.
I'm just disappointed that GM gave up on those cars after just, you know, a few short years. They went for 20-some years with the same style, basically from '80 to '92. You know, and then they spent the money to reskin those cars and totally redo it, and then they wouldn't market them. Because when I went in to buy mine, they kept showing me a DeVille, and I says, no, this is not what I want. And the guy, I said, I want to, where's the Fleetwood or the Brougham? I says, that's what I want. And he kept steering me towards the DeVille, and I says, "What are you not?" I asked him if there's something wrong with his hearing. I said, "I don't want that. I want a rear-wheel drive. I want the traditional Cadillac." "Oh, well, okay, finally, you want this."
Yes.
But the dealership, they never marketed that car, so it was like it's low sales were, I think, a fault of that.
Oh, yeah, I like the big ones too. I got a surprise Sunday. I took my darling wife to a little family reunion, and uh, Bruce might know where the town of Bonham is.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this was over towards Paris. But anyway, coming back, came through Bonham, coming down 121, and there was a motorcycle and a little foreign car pulled out in front of me, and the guy and gal on the motorcycle was just running along about 55, and I thought this little black foreign car was with them. But then we got a good long stretch where you could see, and he pulled out to pass them, and it had a unique sound to it. It sounded real good. Most of them don't, but that one did. So anyway, I heard him stand on it, so I stood on mine because I was going to go ahead and pass the motorcycle and then pass him too.
Right.
And I was expecting him to get around the motorcycle and pull over real quick, which he did, because I figured I'd be gaining on him pretty quick, which I wasn't. And we were, like I said, we was running along there about 50 or 55 when we stood on him. Of course, I was a second or so behind him, 'cause I heard his and he pulled out, and then, I stood on mine and pulled out.
Yes.
And as he pulled back over into the right lane, I just stayed in the left lane, want to go on around him. And I didn't even start gaining on him till we was up past 80. And started gaining on him real slow. And finally cleared him, or my back fender was about even with his front fender, and he let up a little bit. But he stayed on it, because, it was relatively safe, because, we could see for, a long way down the road. But we were well past the triple digits. And, when he let up a little, I was, I would have got back in front of him anyway. But it really surprised me how well the thing run. And it was kind of a little square-looking car and had a big funny-looking scoop on the hood. And I got home and talking to my son, and he said the way I described it, that was a Subaru WRX STI. And they are pretty quick.
Yes.
But I didn't know it was that. The whole back end had been de-chromed, when there was no little symbols or anything, on the back. It was just paint. And you don't see very many of those.
So it's time to get you more power now.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the little thing to run that well. But it surprised me. Because I was thinking I was just going to walk on around it, and go on. And which I did, but it wasn't near as easy as what I thought it was going to be. So,
He may have finally hit his limiter.
so he might have. Like I said, we was well past triple digits, and he might have hit his limiter.
Yeah, I don't know where they're set, or if that's one of the standard things that they're able to fix, but it occurs to me that yours is not set that way.
Right. Yeah, mine has no limiter. Well, it does, but it's up high enough that for all practical purposes it doesn't have one.
It runs out of breath before it hits the limiter.
Well, I've never had it run out of breath yet. I've had it to 144.
Yeah, the argument I heard is that the DTSs would probably do 155. Well, they do 155, but that they might do 161 to 165 in that range, in still air. without a
Mine,
headwind.
mine still pulls. Mine still pulls pretty far at 144. That's fast as I've had it. And it was,
Yeah,
like I say, you could still, it was still pushing you back in the seat a little bit.
the other bookend stat that we knew was that the 400 horsepower CTSVs would go about 100. No, maybe they were limited to 163. I'm not sure what they would go unlimited, but I think they had a speed limiter at 163. So that's really not that helpful, I guess.
Yeah, it's really moving.
Well, yeah, it's certainly faster than you need to go most of the time.
Oh,
And in,
absolutely.
and in this case, if
Yeah.
the Subaru was going over 100, then you could have just tucked in behind him, right?
Yeah, I could have. Just drafted him.
And been happy.
Then I'd have got better mileage.
Until the next speed trap, and then the cop would have got him.
Yeah, so perfect.
That's the way I like to run out on the highway. Find somebody running pretty good. Get back there about 50, 75 yards behind them. 100 yards maybe.
Yeah, you get some bait in front of you.
Yeah.
That's invariably. I've run a radar detector for 30 years, and invariably, I mean, and I push the envelope of the speed, and I'm going along on the highway, and invariably somebody will always pass me that has no radar detector, no nothing. It's like, are you stupid? And I just, like you
Yes.
said, Jim, I let them get ahead, and I just hang back and wait.
Uh-huh.
And they'll always get picked off first.
Now, Kevin, you actually keep several Cadillacs right now, right?
I do, yeah. I've got three plus. Well, I've got three Cadillacs, and I've got I've got a 2013 Silverado Z71 pickup, which when you guys were talking about speed, I mean, for a truck, I mean that thing is ungodly fast. I mean, I can't believe it's.
Is it 5.3 or 6.2?
It's a 5.3.
So, yeah, I've drove a couple of those. They run real well. See, you could take an engine like that and put in your Fleetwood.
Yeah, if I didn't have anything else to do. I never.
So you've got your Fleetwood.
Yep.
You've got 2005 DeVille.
Yep.
And then you still have the 97 SCS?
Yeah, that STS, that's what my wife drives. That's got 190,000 miles. And that's that one, if you go back in the forum, I bought down in North Carolina back in 2006 with bad head gaskets. We drove down there, and I towed it back on a dolly and fixed it. And so the engine is all in good shape, and then I recently put a transmission in it because the torque converter came apart. The clutches in the torque converter were coming apart, loading it with debris, so I put a used transmission in it back first of the year, and so it's still running good, still looks good. It was a Southern car. It has no rust. I keep it washed, and still looks good. My wife likes it, so it's like I'm not in any hurry to get rid of it.
Yeah, no, as long as it's turned up to be reliable, or you can keep it running, then it sounds like you're in good shape.
Yeah,
but those are three.
I wouldn't hesitate to take that car to Nevada or Texas or wherever. I mean, it's in perfect shape.
But those are three pretty different cars, right? Between the Fleetwood and the 97 SCS and the 2005 DeVille, right? Different characters to each one.
Well, I bought that. Yeah, I bought that STS with the intention of flipping it, and then I said, well, at the time we had an older Buick Park Avenue that was starting to get some rust. And I said, we're gonna get rid of the. I said, I'm gonna keep that Cadillac. I says, I don't want to have something. Somebody pulls out and totals that Buick. I says, I don't want to have to try to find a car in short order. I said, we might as well just get rid of that, keep the and at the time we had a 96 SLS also. So we did that, and then we did, and then I picked up that '05 DeVille when it was about 4 years old. Got a killer deal on that. And then we had too many, and I said we gotta get rid of one, so we got rid of that '96 Seville because it was starting to get some rust on the bottom of the doors, and I said I'd rather keep the Southern car versus the one that was from Michigan all its life.
Oh, are you in Michigan?
Yeah, yep.
No. Yeah, mine will soon have 140 on it. Yeah.
So I was starting to draft a new article for the blog. That of course I have the the Duke that I keep writing about as a hobby car. But if that one were to move along, that I was trying to zone in on which Cadillac would I want to replace it as a weekend car. And so think about just a weekend car, 2,000, 3,000 miles a year, and fairly good weather here. So I'm thinking it's got to be a convertible.
Yep.
And the ones that I'm kind of course, I love the look of the 30s cars and the 40s cars, but they've moved in the 50s, but they've moved way out of the price range that I'd want to pay. So I was zoning into the very last of the rear-wheel drive Eldorados, were the Fleetwood Eldorados in '65 and '66, which have a really nice look to them. I want a rear-wheel drive convertible. Rear-wheel drive convertible. So the very last of the rear-wheel drive Eldorados were the Fleetwood Eldorados in '65 and '66. Those have a nice look to them.
Yeah.
Actually, the DeVilles in the early '70s, everybody's favorite is the Eldorados, but the Eldorados had gone front-wheel drive, and so the DeVilles still had the 475, the 472s, and then the 500s in the '70s, and were rear-wheel drive. So,
but the DeVille was never, the DeVille convertibles never had a 500 in them. They were always a 472 because I'm pretty sure the last DeVille convertible was 1970.
well, you may have me there. I think the DeVille still offered a convertible later along, but you're right. In '76, they had gone to just the Eldorado, and so it may be that you can't. I've seen, and of course now when you see cars, everybody puts 500s in them regardless of what they came with, but a lot of the same mod parts will work on the 472s as the 500s.
Well, they're basically the same engine. The 500 was just a stroked 472 that they did for emissions, really.
Yes. So I'm thinking 65, 66 Fleetwood Eldorado, maybe a '70s DeVille with a 472, or if one came with a 500, then certainly with a 500. Or from there, I think it'd have to skip all the way to the early XLRs, now that they're coming below 20,000 with reasonable miles on them. Now the XLR is such a modern car that it wouldn't be as much of a crowd favorite driving it around, right? It just looks like another car.
No, it really don't. They're pretty distinctive, and especially when the top's down.
So if I drove over to your house in a '67 Fleetwood Eldorado, or if in a 2005 XLR, which one would you want to look at first?
I'd probably want to look at the Eldorado first, but that don't mean I wouldn't want to look at the XLR.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's kind of the lure to me of the XLR, especially if you got one with say 50,000 miles on it and put 3,000 miles a year on it, you could basically keep it for a couple of decades, right?
Yeah.
Forever, basically, yeah.
Yeah, just getting it out to wax it and warm it up, take it to Sunday school or out to a restaurant, then you could probably keep it nice for an extended period of time. Now, in 2004, they had a little more trouble with the tops, so I might want to find a 5 or a 6 after they'd had a chance to to think about how the tops work. But I love the way the tops work on the XLR, that you could have a hard top or a convertible, although I'd probably park it in the garage with the top off most of the time. Now the XLR is attracted to me again because it's rear-wheel drive. The Elantes I like, and they're certainly at a wonderful price point right now. But you have part scarcity issues to deal with, and some eccentricities.
That's the thing that would steer me away from the Elante is just the part, like a headlight alone is half the value of the car.
So
Yeah,
I think, but
a limited car like the Elante that didn't sell in large numbers, and with the scarcity of parts and the expensive parts when you do find them, that would probably deter me from the Elante being in the consideration list.
now and I agree. Now the Fleetwood Eldorados for their day, that would have the 429 engine in it because it was before they, after the 390s, before they went to the 472, they had the 429, which is kind of an orphan engine right there in the middle. So you don't have as many performance options for those cars. But the 0 to 60 time, even though that was a heavy car, the 0 to 60 times at the time were measured at around 8.8 seconds. So it's not terrible. It would be good enough for merging and so on, and for driving in traffic.
I think that'd be pretty. It would be pretty respectable, even by today's standards.
Yeah, and again, if you're getting it to drive 3,000 miles a year and keep the top down, bring it like I do the Duke now. It goes, if it's a sunny day above 63 Fahrenheit, then I get the Duke out if I have to run an errand to go to dinner or go to wherever, pick up coffee for my wife. And so it seems like for a hobby car, I think each of those would make a nice series of articles for the site.
Now, what's the stipulation on rear-wheel drive? You said that. What's
That's
the
personal preference. Well, there's a couple of things I'm looking for, and this is where it kind of fogs the mirror a little bit. I like I prefer rear-wheel drive in terms of the driving dynamics, but the other thing is I want the engine in the right way around. I think they're easier to work on if the engine's in long ways. Now that said, those first Eldorados had the engine in longitudinally instead of transverse, right?
Yeah.
They had the engine in the right way around with the transmission behind it.
Correct. And even they had the Eldorado convertibles from they had an 84 and 85 Eldorado convertible that was done by a coach builder, and those cars, the 79 through 85 Eldorados, had the engines longitudinally mounted.
I had an 85 Eldorado convertible.
That you
like
enjoyed.
that car.
That was the one you got in trouble for trading?
No.
Okay.
That was her humpback Cadillac.
Yeah, I've heard that story twice, and I still get it wrong. But the other thing that's sticking in the back of my mind, though, that's attractive about the 70 to 76 cars is that there are mods available for those cars. You can get a cam for them, you can get heads for them and headers for them and so on. And so there'd be more fiddling to do with those cars, which might make them more attractive. But mostly for the Eldorados, right? Most of the performance market's centered around those Eldorados.
That is correct.
With the 500 cubic inch engine.
As far as I know, that's correct.
But you can still go to a couple of different places and they sell performance parts for that 500 engine. And so it seems to me that there would be some play there in fiddling with the car some more.
And that's half the fun of having an old car.
Yeah, exactly. Half of it is if it starts at all, and the other half of it is trying to get it to go a tenth of a second faster, right?
Yep.
I mean, for that matter, you could take a 84, 85 Eldorado, with that engine and put a Olds 403 in it. It bolts right up, and you really have some.
No.
You had that engine in that light of car, that thing would just scream.
But I want a Cadillac solution. This is Caddy Info is a Cadillac-oriented site. So I don't want articles where I've taken an Oldsmobile engine and stuffed it in my Cadillac.
Well, I
I
mean,
know.
that's a direct bull. I mean, my Fleetwood Brougham is a Cadillac, and it's got a Chevrolet engine right from the factory. So, I mean,
Now that said, that story we were looking at about the 39 LaSalle, if they had taken that and put a LSA supercharged 6.2 liter in it, that would have been a Cadillac solution and given as good a power and torque as that 572 did. And to me, have made a more interesting project. But I understand the lure of putting in the 572 also.
572.
Yeah,
What is? I
there was
never.
one of the resto mods that I posted this week where they had taken a 39 LaSalle and put a 572 in it.
Is that some kind of a board engine, or
No,
what?
Chevy makes, GM makes a 572 crate engine.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's a big block. If you couldn't tell from the displacement, it's a and I think
Oh,
it is
yeah.
a big block. I may be
Yeah,
wrong about
yeah,
that. It may be
yeah,
a large
no,
displacement small block.
no, the
No,
572 is a big block.
Yeah.
no. I read that. I thought it was a typo. I thought you meant to say 472.
No,
No,
I
it's
think they swapped out and put a crate engine in it, and that I'm sure that's cheaper than putting in an LSA as a crate engine, but that would have been more attractive to me as to put a Cadillac engine in it instead of putting a Chevy crate engine in it. Not that it makes all that much difference because there are Cadillacs with Chevy engines, and because I think the V8 in your Fleetwood was a standard Chevy engine, right?
Right. Yep.
And
Yeah, and
still,
even the Bromes from 86 through 89, those had Oldsmobile engines in them. They were
yes.
307 Oldsmobile engines.
And Cadillac got some static at one point because people decided that they weren't advertising correctly because they said, it was a Cadillac car with a Cadillac engine, but really it had GM line engines in it, not Cadillac specific engines. These days,
Right.
I'm a big fan of put in the best engine you've got, and I don't care who it comes from. Now, of course, they all come from powertrain, so they're not really Chevy engines or Cadillac engines or
It's it's
GMC
funny.
engines.
It's funny how GM is the only one that takes static from that, but Ford has done that for 40 years, and nobody ever, Lincoln Town Car, they have a 460 in it, and so would a Ford station wagon, but nobody ever gave them any flack about that. But they
Ford,
give the
Ford pickups out of 460.
yeah.
And Toyota does that between their Toyotas and their Lexuses, where it's the same car tarted up with the same engine and the same chassis, but now it's a Lexus, and they don't get the same. People don't hold them to the same standard as they do General Motors, but okay, that's all right.
Right. I mean, they don't even hold Ford to the same standard like what I was saying. I mean, it's like, well, come on.
But yeah, I would love to see Cadillac go back to selling 250, 300,000 cars a year like they did, during the mid '60s when these Fleetwood Eldorados came along, and they were moving twice as many cars as they do now. And so, in their heyday when they could do no wrong, and there weren't Lexuses in the market, and there weren't Infinitis in the market, and there weren't Acuras in the market. And so they were making the premier luxury car and sold, 36% of the luxury cars in the United States during that period.
Yeah.
And so even though they say now profitability is the important thing, not numbers, but
But
it'd
if
be
you've
nice
got
if they
the
had both,
numbers,
right? Yeah,
if
you
you've
always say
got
that.
enough numbers, you're going to have the profitability.
Yes, yes. Get the numbers and you can bring the profitability. But
So if you're selling 10,000 cars and making $1,000 a piece, or if you're selling 100,000 cars and making 200 a piece, you'll make a lot more money making 200 than you will making 1,000.
so I agree. Back to my friend who's bringing in a station wagon. So now his next question that we're musing about was, should he deliver it straight to the hot rod shop to have it tuned, or should he drive it for 6 months and then take it over to get it tricked up?
Neither one.
You're gonna argue leave it stock?
No, I said neither one.
Yeah. So what would you do with it?
I drive it 2 or 3 weeks and get used to it.
Drive it 2 or 3
And then
weeks.
take it and have it changed.
That's what I would do. I'd drive it for 2 to 4 weeks and see what it does, so you get a feeling what it does. So when you get it back, if you decide to modify it, you know what they've done to it.
Yeah, exactly. Now I said there's 4 or 5 shops here in town that would be happy, and you just specify. But what you're going to need to tell them is classic hot rod questions: how much money do you have, and how fast do you want to go?
Yeah.
And so, but the immediate things that people do with the LSA, the CTSVs, is you put headers on them, you change the pulleys, you add some more intercooler, another heat exchanger, maybe the tank that the CTS owners guys are doing that fits right in the engine bay to hold more intercooler coolant, and you get the computer retuned, of course. And so what I would look for is, do you need I'd go to the shop wanting to be able to say, I want, so let's say stock, they run 450 or 460 horsepower at the wheels, that I'd want to be able to go into the shop and say, I'm looking for, 600 horsepower at the wheels or whatever it is you think you're looking for. But that would be around 750 horsepower at the crank, which seems like a nice round number. Now, so let's talk about that. How many horsepower do you need? How many horsepower would make a nice street car? This car out of the box has 556 horsepower, of course. It weighs about 4,300 pounds. So it has about 8 pounds per horsepower, 8 horsepower per pound.
I'd want close to 7 at the crank.
Just on principle?
Huh?
This would already be one of the quickest, fastest cars you'd ever driven, right?
Right, but after I got used to it.
After the 2-week break-in.
Yeah, after the 2-week break-in, then I want more.
Now, I also on a normal used car buy, I would absolutely agree with the 2 weeks or 30 days because I want to know if there's anything wrong with the car before I take it to the speed shop, right?
Exactly. That was another.
I want to shake it out good because if there is anything, I want to know the speed shop didn't do it.
Right.
Now that was the situation before it went to the speed shop.
Oh, and one thing to caution him about, he probably knows, and you do too, but when you go to put headers on it, don't put shorty headers on it. Put long tube headers on it.
Yeah, he's an old car guy, and
Okay.
I don't mean old in a critical way, but he's been a car guy a long time.
Okay.
And so, and used to trade in cars, and so I think he'll have a good sense of that. But I would go over to LG Motorsports here in town. We're blessed by a number of different speed shops. Hennessy, there's a Hennessy shop at 21st Century Motorsports. There's Dallas Performance. There's LG Motorsports. Here in town, we have numerous. But hopefully we'll be able to get some shots, and I'll get him to do some timing runs on the wagon.
Before and after.
Yeah, in its raw form. And
Yeah.
so that would give us some more. I don't even see the ad up anymore, unfortunately. I was hoping I could point you at the ad and show you the car, but it looks like they've already taken the ad down since they sold it, which is a shame. But I guess that keeps them from getting 29 more inquiries. But yeah,
well,
even though
I can't even fathom 700 horse. I mean, I drove a 1988 Callaway twin turbo Corvette, which was 395 horsepower at the rear wheels. It was the fastest car I've ever been in my life. I mean, that thing did 96 miles. It was a 7-speed manual transmission. We did 96 miles an hour in first gear. I can't imagine anything more than that.
Well, what gearing to hit 96 in first? It needed some more rear end, right? Or was it
Sure
designed to be a top speed car?
Oh, that thing was just insane. probably ran it too high, over revved it. But it was just
10,000 RPM.
ungodly fast. I mean, it threw me back in the seat. I couldn't even lean forward. That thing was so powerful.
Now I'm still very conflicted about the classic Roadster's Duke and whether I should actually put it for sale or last week we had talked about just set a price, and then if somebody offers me money for it, tell them the price and keep it until it sells, but not actually actively put it for sale. Because I'm still having a great time with that, but I'd like to have another Cadillac just because, we're a Cadillac website and all.
No, it's up to you. I mean, you could do what a lot of these Craigslist people do and just put their stuff on for insanely high prices, and they troll for somebody. And if somebody bites, you got it. And if not.
And I think that was kind of Jim's advice, right? Is have too high a price that you're willing to take for it, right?
Yeah, it was like that Alante you posted, that green one there a while back. The guy was just ungodly high in the price, and it wasn't really all in that good a shape. And say, well,
yeah, wasn't near the market for it. Yeah,
right. I mean, you run the numbers on it; it wasn't near what the market. There's so many people that do that. They just throw their stuff out there. Well, I don't really want to sell it, but if somebody gives me the right price, overinflated price, yeah, I'll get rid of it.
And I was happy to.
For instance, on my car, I'll just make up a number. We'll just say I wanted 20 for it. I'd price it at $27,500, assuming that I didn't have to get rid of it.
Right.
Like you with the Duke.
Right.
I would price it, 15% higher than what I would really take. Somebody come along, oh, okay, fine, here's the money. Well, obviously take it.
Right.
But then if they started offering you less, see, now you've got some room to wiggle.
Exactly.
And if you price it at 20 and you want 20, then you don't have any room, or you end up selling it for less than what you really wanted to.
And I was happy to see, like with the Austin, my dad's Austin collection that I'd posted on Craigslist quite a while ago, and I'm still getting responses to the ad, and the ad's still live. And so, that's been great. And so I thought that it would kind of fade after a week or two, but it's actually held up well in terms of an ad. I still get responses to the ad and links to it. You can still go to the ad out there in the ether. Now, not as much as if I kept repeating it, I guess, but we've actually gotten inquiries because of the ad, which was the whole point. That's what I'm headed down Saturday back to Arkansas to show somebody the collection, and then another fellow's wanting to come next week and look at it.
Okay, man. I wish you good luck on it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But that's the trickiness there too about trying to figure out what the right price is, because it's you see individual cars sell for more than half of what we're asking for 3 cars.
Right.
And so, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how all that works out. But yeah, maybe that's what I'll do is I'll take 2711 pictures and put it out with too high a price on Craigslist and just let it marinate.
And then if somebody decides that they want to pay that much or close to that, then that would give you more money to
put into the Eldorado, the Fleetwood Eldorado
project. Yep.
Now, if you had to choose though, between those 3 cars, so let's say a 76 Eldorado or a 66 Eldorado or a 2006 XLR, which one would you gravitate toward? If they were about the same money.
66 or 76?
66 Fleetwood Eldorado, rear-wheel drive. They were the big square front end, 22 feet long cars.
I'd probably go with the 66 instead of the 76.
Kevin, what do you think?
Your audio was really breaking up there. I just want to interject. I want to warn you when you put your Craigslist ads on, it's going to draw the freaks out of the woodwork, as they always do.
Oh yeah, you mean when I put the ads ad up for the Duke? Kevin,
Yeah,
are we
I mean,
losing
every
you?
time I've placed an ad in Craigslist, it's like, I'm here.
I've I've never put anything on Craigslist.
Yeah, I have had pretty
Oh,
good luck that way, and with the
it just
Austins,
it draws the weirdos.
yeah, it can,
I
but
don't know
the other
what's
thing,
going on here.
yeah, we could be raining somewhere between here and Michigan. But but Kevin, my original question was, would you rather have the '66 convertible, the '76 convertible, or the 2006 convertible?
I
I
think
guess
it.
I would probably take like a 76.
Yeah, the '76s are at an interesting price point right now. They're actually, very effective, very low price. The trade is that the miles per gallon with the 500, of course. But if there's going to be a collector car out of that, then those are probably depreciated as much as they're going to, perhaps. I don't know that they depreciate any more from
Yeah,
here.
you can you can also take a mid 70s, like those smog engines like that, get rid of the smog cam and the smog intake, and put a factory intake like from an earlier one on, so it wouldn't change the appearance. Nobody would really know that you've done that. You get that engine to breathe, get the horsepower back, and you get the mileage back. You wouldn't be getting 10 or 11 miles per gallon. You get some decent mileage out of it.
Yes. Now that said, my Duke gets crap miles per gallon because I only drive it around the corner and up the. I only drive it in the neighborhood, and so it actually I've been tracking tank to tank, and it actually gets terrible miles per gallon. So I can't imagine the Cadillac would get much worse. And it is a little inline four, of course, making 70 75 horsepower. So, guys, we have come up to the end of our hour. We missed our friend Cadillac Jim tonight because he was overbooked. If you at home ever want to join us, that you don't have to have video. You can actually participate via chat, either in the form of the Q&A, or you can do audio only and type in live chat. There's actually a chat thing built into the gadget here that we can monitor as well. If you do have a video camera available to you, either built into your laptop or available as a separate camera, then it's very easy to get it set up in Google Plus Hangouts, and I would be happy to work with you to help you get that set up sometime, offline. Or what we do for these is we log in a little bit ahead and then work on the video and so on. That this has been our caddyinfo.com Cadillac chat, caddyinfo.com, CADDYINFO, where it's a Cadillac fan site where mostly Cadillac owners and Cadillac enthusiasts get together to share the knowledge we have and the joy we have about Cadillac automobiles. I've had with me tonight Texas Jim from the forum.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, have a good night. And KHE from the forum.
Good night.
Thanks for being on, guys. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to hit stop broadcast, and then we'll be offline for a moment. It looks like I lost my video because my picture's gone up, but Hangouts is acting odd tonight. Hold
It
on
did
just a
that.
moment. I'm going to hit stop broadcast, and then we'll keep chatting for a minute.